Hey everyone, this is Sally Hayes from Matrikas, and I'm so excited today because I am here with Gabie Peytchev, the founder of WOVA Health, which is a digital platform for whole body fertility support. Thank you, Gabie, for joining me today. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you today because I think what you've built is really special, and I don't think I've seen this anywhere before. It's really an integrative platform. It's Western and Eastern. It's um, clinical support and holistic support, which is something that I'm always talking about bringing together and bridging the gap. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you started this platform and what exactly it entails?
I would love to. And I'd like to start with a little story. When I was a little girl, when you're little, how everybody's asking you, what do you want to become when you grow up? And you usually say, I want to be a doctor or an engineer or a teacher. And I would usually say one of those things, but really what I was thinking is I wanted to be a mom. I remember every time waking up in my grandmother's house, dreaming about it, dreaming about building my own family, having two children by a certain age, thinking about the prince and this fairy tale. Every morning, this was in my head. And when I left my country to come to the United States, I was 19 years old and I came to study here to do my bachelor's and eventually my MBA with the sole goal that I wanted to create this future for my future family. I wanted to come here to educate myself, to get a good job, to become independent, and one day to be able to support my family, but also give my kids more opportunities because America and the United States is really the land of opportunities. And I've always envisioned myself as a mother. So when I was in my 20s and I tried to get pregnant, we ran into some challenges with my partner at the time. We got tested and it showed there was a male factor involved. And I was the one who was supposed to go through the fertility treatments, IUI, IVF, go through all the medications and appointments. I felt that nobody really was able to tell us if there's anything we can do to improve his sperm. Instead, we were directed to go and do an IUI or an IVF. And that experience really opened my eyes as to how confusing and how isolating fertility journeys were because I felt I really had to navigate this mostly on my own. Years later, when I found my current partner, my husband, I was approaching 35. And like a lot of women out there, I started to panic, thinking 35 is when all of a sudden your fertility goes down the cliff, which is really not the case. It's very, very different for everybody, and it's not that simple. So I started to think about fertility more consciously, given my previous history. I found a leadership role at a large company that provided fertility benefits just in case I needed them, and we end up needing them. And I already knew in the United States, you have to wait a whole year. If you go to your OBGYN and tell them, I want to get pregnant, they'll tell you, try for 1 year or 6 months, depending on your age, and come back. If you're unsuccessful, we're going to talk about next steps. I already knew about this process and I didn't want to waste any time. I just went to the doctor and said, we've been trying for 1 year because I wanted to get tested. And sometimes you have to play with the system so the system doesn't play you. And we got tested. We were diagnosed with unexplained infertility. And that was a complete shock. First of all, I didn't know what was wrong. They didn't really find any medical reasons for neither my husband or I. It was very confusing. We were basically told your next step is IUI, IVF. They said you have very good insurance. You should get pregnant, which almost felt like very transactional at the time. We ended up doing an IVF, but I was very frustrated because I knew both of us had chronic conditions we were dealing with that were not specifically reproductive, but there's all kinds of systems working together, working in synergy. If something is off, it really has a ripple effect and it it will affect your reproductive system in many cases. So if you have issues with, let's say, blood pressure or cholesterol or past trauma that you haven't resolved, or you're diabetic, I mean, there could be other chronic conditions that are affecting your fertility. And I knew that both of us had different conditions we had to deal with that nobody was willing to look or consider. So we had to, I felt like, again, I had to figure out everything on my own. I started digging into my old science books. And I shouldn't even say old because I've always loved reading science books. So for the past decade, I've read probably hundreds of books and studies on whole body health because this is really has been my passion. But now I started digging into reproductive health and how it's all connected. And back in 2004, I read a book about epigenetics and how lifestyle, nutrition, environment can influence your reproductive health, but they can also influence your genes. So you can change the sequence of your genes, but you can turn on or off certain genes depending on your lifestyle. And you can pass this on off to your next generation, at least 3 generations ahead. Imagine the piano keys. They don't change, but you get to choose what kind of music you're going to play. I
I
love
love
that
that. Yeah, that's
analogy.
great.
What I want to say is that you have a lot within your power. You have a lot more control than you realize. Yes, infertility is complex. Yes, age also plays a big role. There's so much you can do beyond that. And
Absolutely.
that's why I built WOVA. It's really driven by my personal journey, the journey that I witnessed with my friends. There was a lot of lack of support, lack of empathy, lack of education and awareness. It's a very isolating journey, very overwhelming. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. And I wanted to change that.
And on WOVA, you have experts, but you also have a community or a network of other people that are going through this. So when you join the platform, walk me through what happens. Do you get
Yeah.
connected with all of these things? And I know you have a library of education, so break down how that all
Yes.
works.
Yeah, there's a roadmap. You get access to a library of interviews with over 20 experts. And the reason why there's a variety of experts is because I don't believe that you have to rely on one expert to understand your whole situation. And that's why experts usually specialize. So when we talk about nutrition, you actually learn from a nutritionist or a dietitian. When we talk about hormone health or your menstrual cycle, you learn from an endocrinologist. Lifestyle, environmental health, emotional well-being, how all of these things play together. So I've created a library of those interviews where you get access to a different topic and different actionable items that you can apply in your life. But it also gives you the understanding behind the science and why these things are important and how impactful they are. And then in addition to this, you get live coaching on a weekly basis. You have 60 minutes with a coach and weekly check-ins during the weeks when the coaches rotate. So you have a coach who specializes in emotional well-being and mental health. You have a coach in nutrition and also a fertility coach. So they can guide you through the whole process and the journey. And it's a small group setting where you get connected with peers, with others who are going through this. So it feels less isolating, but you can also find someone to talk to that really understands you and know what you're going through.
That's so impressive. You've really taken the burden off of the person navigating infertility. You've given everything that before your platform, they would have had to have gone and sought this information out. And, you don't know what you don't know. So a lot of times they probably aren't getting the information because they don't even know who they're looking for. So I love that you've created not only the experts in the library, but also the community. of support. It really is the support that everyone needs when they're navigating fertility. And it sounds like it's not just if you've had a diagnosis of infertility, but even before that, if you're preparing to conceive, that there are things you can do.
Definitely, whether you have a diagnosis or not, whether you chose to or have to go through IVF or you prefer to do natural conception, in either situation, you have to optimize your health and your partner's health if you're walking through this journey with a partner, because this is not only going to optimize your chances of pregnancy, it will also optimize your chances of having a healthy pregnancy and healthier children. And like I said, through epigenetics, you can affect at least 3 generations ahead. This is super powerful that a lot of people don't understand. So you, in a sense, you are already a parent because the way you live right now, you're gonna be affecting this child's health. And of course, you also want to be healthy so you can live with them longer, right? So I think that's what I want to see here is that no matter what your journey is or your diagnosis is, it's very important to focus on your health, on your overall health. Nutrition, lifestyle, sleep is important, environment. There's a lot of things. And because it's too much, sometimes it feels overwhelming. You don't know where to start or who to even believe. There's a lot going on online and in social media. And sometimes the tips they give are good, but maybe they're not as impactful. Do you really want to overhaul your whole life and put that pressure on you and that additional stress? No, but even if you do 20% or 50% changes in your lifestyle, it's gonna make a big difference. So you don't have to change absolutely everything. You need to know what's most impactful for your situation and apply that and apply it with the help of the coaches in a way that works for you. So it's easier to implement.
I love that. And this is for anyone nationwide, correct? This isn't licensed in a specific state, and you don't have to be under someone's care in a specific area.
Yes, this is a digital platform. The coaches are certified. We don't provide medical advice, but we do have experts in the network that I've handpicked and interviewed, and oftentimes I've worked with during my own journey, where if you need the medical advice and the medical support, we can connect you with them as well.
That's amazing. So you've amassed a network of providers and experts that you can personally connect people with, and they've got a network of people that are their peers, and there's live coaching. Tell me a little bit more about how people get into this community and what it's like. Are you doing group coaching? Is that how they communicate, or is there a text thread that everybody gets on?
There's a platform I use, it's called Circle, and everything happens on this platform. All the communications, I'm also trying to make this more of a fun experience as much as we can. So we have games and challenges. We keep it very open and we talk about the struggles, but also the everyday wins. Every little thing matters. And yes, you get to connect with the coaches and the others, but you get to learn in this library, you get to learn from so many other experts as well. So I think this is very unique. When I was looking to get pregnant, I didn't find anything like this. And I still don't. And I feel that this is what's missing. I feel fertility care is very fragmented. If you need support, you can go to a specific expert or person, and they might have their own programs, and I'm sure they're amazing, but that doesn't always work for every person because, like I said, you cannot expect one person to understand your whole body, your whole story, and sometimes you need help from different areas. Like if you're struggling with sleep, it's best to work with a sleep coach or learn from a sleep specialist, somebody who's done the research and that's his own focus and knows how it connects to fertility. And then similarly on the nutrition side, you have a nutritionist. So oftentimes we get rushed into procedures and we immediately are connected with fertility doctors And I have full respect. And I think there's definitely a space and room for IVF. But before you do that, of course, focus on your health. And otherwise, you might end up with 3 cycles like I did, because I learned the hard way and I had to piece it all together on my own. So it took longer. And that's why I'm doing this, because I want to really make a difference in people's lives. And I wanted to build the best out there that doesn't exist, the best. And I'll continue improving, and I'll continue to make sure that this is the best out there. So people have their one-stop fertility home, is what I call it, where you come and you get taken care of, and we help you and we guide you. You don't never feel alone or overwhelmed anymore. You feel empowered. You feel like you know what your next step is going to be, instead of feeling completely lost and guessing and waiting for the next pregnancy test.
Yeah. And I love that you talked about maybe you go through one cycle instead of 3 cycles, because I don't think people realize that a lot of times people are going for cycle after cycle after cycle because every cycle is different and there's a lot of different factors, but it sounds like you're actually able to save people a lot of money down the road with this prevention care. I would kind of consider it more prevention care, supporting your stress levels, supporting your nutrition, optimizing your body for achieving
Exactly.
pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that. I think there's definitely a little bit more talk in this area than there has been previously, but I definitely don't think I've ever seen anything like your platform where it's all right there together. So this is really amazing and super supportive for anyone who's trying to navigate this alone, especially if you're choosing to be a single parent, which is definitely an opportunity for a lot of people now. But this is so great,
Yeah.
especially for unexplained for infertility, all of these struggles. I've had lots of friends go through this, lots of clients, suffer through it, and it can be a really difficult process. So you've
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
made
And
this
touching on IVF, the IVF success rate is very low. It varies by clinic. And on average, you need 2 to 3 procedures to succeed. That's a lot of money, but not just that. It's a lot of emotional and physical burden on your body. And you can avoid this. You can definitely optimize your chances and hopefully get pregnant without any procedures, or maybe just one versus multiple, because they don't really look at the root cause. They don't really do anything about your current situation. What they do is they're trying to basically trigger more follicles to grow. So instead of one egg, you release more eggs this cycle. So it's very also cycle dependent. And fertility doctors have a lot of expertise and a lot of experience and amazing knowledge behind how the body works and the hormonal system and how the fertility drugs work together, but they are not trained in nutrition. They don't really know much about like how the rest of your life can affect your fertility. And it's not their fault. They're just not trained. And like I said, you can't expect everyone to know everything. So yeah, I just believe that no matter your situation, you can only benefit if you are participating in this program, if you're part of this roadmap.
absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much for all that you do. I feel like we've covered everything. I mean, I feel like we did a very comprehensive roadmap of what you would go through. So I love it. So tell everybody who wants to get in touch with you how they can find you and how they can work with you.
Yeah, so you can go on the website at www.wovahealth.com, or you can go to Instagram at WOVA Health. You can also listen to my podcast on YouTube and learn from all the different experts, many of them in the network. If you go to the website, you can submit an application form and schedule a quick call, an orientation call, where we can talk about your situation and how whether this program is a good fit for you, and then talk about the next steps.
I love anybody who offers a consultation and a call because I think a lot of times we look at platforms and we think yes or no immediately, but really if you dive into a call, you can understand more thoroughly what the opportunities are there and how it actually works. So thank you so much for talking with me today and for giving everybody all this information. And we'll have all the details in the show notes. So go check out WOVA Health.
Thank you. Just a final note. I just want to say to everyone, don't lose hope. I know there's all kinds of different stories, and sometimes there's a lot of challenges along the way. And you might have been on this journey for many months or years, and you're at the moment where you're even considering whether you even want to be a parent, and you start doubting yourself or blaming yourself. Don't lose hope. And we are here in 2026. I want to encourage you or to invite you to leave behind all these fears and all the self-blame and self-doubt behind and start the new year fresh. There's a lot of support out there for you. Just don't wait, don't waste your time. Get the support you need because there's a lot you can do.
I love that. Thank you so much. This has been so great. And yes, I fully agree with you. Don't lose hope because anything can happen. It's one of my favorite phrases.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sally.
Gabby.